New York City's First Lady, Chirlane McCray, is once again facing criticism from the public. A new Q poll shows that 24% of New Yorkers want McCray to play a major role at City Hall, but 37% say she should have a minor role, and again, a little over a third say she should have no involvement at all when it comes to shaping public policy. Mayor de Blasio, as expected, came to his wife's defense, saying she's working for free on behalf of the people of the city, so by definition, she needs a staff. I'm absolutely committed to that because that's what's going to allow us to do more to help people in this city. Now, the backlash towards McCray comes as her top aide, Rachel Nordlinger, as you know, has chosen to take a leave of absence following her son's arrest and controversy surrounding her live-in boyfriend, who has a criminal record that was not mentioned on the paperwork. Dominic, the problems are seeming to cascade here for the mayor, and we'll get into a little bit the Al Sharpton headache he has in his hands. But as it relates to the First Lady, you know, even going back to the Clinton days, the idea that you would have an active role in this always had some people on edge. Now, the Nordlinger thing, it seems to open the floodgates here. He seems determined she's going to stay in this position as his most trusted advisor. You think it stays that way?
No doubt about it. You have to understand, Richard, to those that believe the First Lady should not be involved, believes that she should not be involved, you have to look at the de Blasio family. I recall when I moderated debates with him when he wanted to be a councilman right after running Hillary's campaign. I thought he was out of his mind to go from running Hillary's campaign, and I told him this. And he told me back then that he was going to be mayor one day. I didn't believe him. So he went from I really didn't believe him. He went from the city council to public advocate. Every debate we have a public advocate, Chirlane McCray was right there. So you have to understand you're getting 2 for 1. She is, by definition, his most trusted advisor. And if you think that you're going to get rid of this First Lady, good luck with that.
There is judgment questions that go along with the Nordlinger situation, and it goes directly to her, fairly or not. Michael, how many people are saying, listen, you got a chance to do this? The biggest problems you have are self-inflicted, this again being one of them.
You've said a couple things there. Every big stumble in the de Blasio administration so far has been self-inflicted. Yes, we'll come back to that in a second. Every husband should defend his wife, and every wife should defend every partner, spouse, whatever. Yeah. That's just, let's just take that as a given. And he is never going to, there's never going to be any space between the two of them. He's never going to walk away from her. The
fair game, though, because it's not being attacked for being the wife. It's fair. It's because she's now taking a role as basically chief of staff.
That's what makes it fair game. If you're going to put yourselves out there, much in the way a younger Hillary Clinton put herself out there with initial attempts at health care reform, and that blew back on the presidency, well, U.S. Senator, Secretary of State, front runner for the Democratic nomination for president, though tumultuous things worked out there. If Ms. McCray is going to be in this public role, it is fair game. Now, what became weird with the Nordlinger piece is staff is never more important than the principals, than the elected officials. But Rachel became a proxy for everybody's opinion of the First Lady. And, you know, none of these things happen in a vacuum. The mayor's political opponents, the PBA, the DEA, the SBA, Uniform, they had a role in this as well, as they should have.
And I want to get to this one. Reverend Sharpton, you saw it's been going on this week. We haven't had a chance to get into it, but he's certainly the tax problems here. But he is dismissing the New York Times piece that says he owes back taxes to the tune of $4.5 million in outstanding state and federal tax liens against him. He fired back, saying the allegations in the story is misleading and totally out of context. He also said that he hasn't owed any taxes since 2006. It's a lot of money, $4.5 million. And if you go into in the detail in the piece, in terms of some of the interesting arrangements that he's been allowed to have here, the question I've always thought is, do certain political or public figures not get passes, but get special treatment as it relates to...
People are afraid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he attacks people all the time. I'm clear he would attack someone else if they did what he did. So, you know, it's fair. Regarding the mayor's wife, though, I want to say, if she needs her own staff to do her own thing, if she's acting as chief of staff, that is going to be destructive for the mayor, because staff won't be honest with her. They're not going to be honest with the mayor. Yeah. And you need people sometimes to say, you're wrong. You need your staff to have...
Well, I have a feeling she tells him when she thinks he's wrong.
No, she does, but will the staff do it?
And Sharpton's tax issues are for the organization, for the most part, for the organization that he runs. Back taxes, back payroll taxes for the National Action Network.
But this has been systemic, Dominic. This has been going on for a long
but
time.
not only a Democratic president, under a Republican president, Sharpton is who he is. Listen, you quote that article, but I quote another article that said 70%, almost 70% of blacks in New York feel that he is the black leader.
White, black, purple, or orange, you got to pay your taxes, you know?
Right?
And to
But
me,
it's not his taxes, it's the organization's taxes.
he has personal tax exposure and liability
Yes,
here.
he
I mean,
does.
it's not, and he's the one who set up the organizations that are in his name. He's
Yes.
raising monies
Yes.
in his name for these organizations. I don't think this is as nuanced. I think this.
But he's not going anywhere, Richard.
When you
He's
check
not going
when you
anywhere.
can't feel shame and you're immune to it, and you check that at the door, and you just show up for every press conference, and you say, "How dare you ask me about $4.5 million in back taxes?" And I question your motivation for bringing that up. What?
Yeah, forgive me.
But there is a class of of politicians that thrive on the criticism, because then they're aggrieved, and then there's
I would
umbrage.
say he's at the top of that list. We'll be right back. Stay with us.